Hello, Assalamu alaikum. It's just 11 o'clock now. We have a few people still coming. Inshallah, we'll start very soon. The topic we have today is basic medical research and where do I start? Now, being an NCHD in Ireland and anywhere in the world, research is now more and more important. Knowing how to do the basics is something that all NCHDs lack, and especially Pakistani NCHDs that come from Pakistan, new to start off. This is a big hurdle that we have to overcome to get into the system, to be part of their system, and to progress. If you don't do this, you're not going to progress. And that is the honest truth. There is no other way around it. This will always hold you back. So if you are interested in progressing your career, this is very important. There are a few ground rules that we will, that I'll just highlight here as well, while we wait for others to come. We will ask everyone to stay muted during the talk. You can ask as many questions as you want on the chat group. We have Mustafa, who is an ED consultant in St. James's, and myself, who's a vascular SPR in Matter. We'll both be trying to answer these questions on the chat group as much as possible. Yasir has also very kindly agreed to hold a live Q&A session afterwards. We will try to moderate this and help as much as we can in this as well. The session will be recorded and we will see if it will be available down the line on the IPPA website for viewing as well and further use. So I think we'll start soon. So just give it another minute, see as many people come in, and then we should start. Again, Assalamu alaikum to everyone. We are going to start the session on basic medical research and where to start. These are the ground rules of the session. Keep yourself muted. Please ask questions on the chat group and we'll try to answer the best we can. We have Mustafa, an ED consultant who's joined in, who will help with answering these questions as well. Myself and Yasir will be taking the session. This session will be recorded and we will try to have it posted on the IPPA website once reviewed. We will, Yasir has kindly agreed to do a Q&A session afterwards. So if you have a particular question that you want to ask Yasir, please take note of the slide or take note of the topic on the slide, and we'll try to flick back to that and talk about that specifically. Just briefly about IPPA, the vision of IPPA is as follows. It was founded with the mind to raise the respect and honor of Pakistan in Ireland. We're helping all Pakistani professionals in any capacity that we can. We've done multiple events and multiple things to help. These are a few of the social and academic things that have happened in the past. We've done communication skills, interview skills. We've done on inheritance tax. We have done on artificial intelligence. We've done on home internet security. The most recent two big social events have been these, which have been very well received and it's helped to join the Pakistani community together in Ireland and help people meet other people and make contacts within the Pakistani community and help to promote ourselves. So in that light, today we have Yasir Bashir, who is a new consultant colorectal surgeon in the Midland Regional Hospital, Tullamore. He, mashallah, has more than 50 publications and still writing, still doing more, and hasn't stopped. He knows the importance of research. He knows how important this has helped to move careers along. He has seen how people have been left behind because they've not gotten a job because their lack of research. So he is very experienced, and he's thankful that he's here today to talk to us about it. I will highlight the fact that he is a Pakistani medical graduate. He did not graduate in Ireland. He came from the same system that all of us came from. He came here, he learned how to do this, and he's excelled in this. So I would be very thankful if Yasir could take over and talk to us about this topic and teach us more. And like I said, we'll be happy to answer questions in the chat group. And obviously, we'll do a live Q&A afterwards as well. I'll hand it over to Yasir.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Yasir Bashir. I'm a newly appointed consultant surgeon in a colorectal department in Midland Regional Hospital, Toronto. As Adil highlighted, that I'm, like you guys, graduated from Pakistan. I did not graduate from here. The reason it differentiates because the students here, they are taught the research methodology and the importance of research from the very beginning. I have taught for Trinity College Dublin, and it was the part of their curriculum that they have to do a research project. So they do a systematic review and meta-analysis as part of their curriculum, and we don't do that. I was very surprised that during my second interview, the first job I got from Pakistan, and I was excelling in the job and doing the operative work and exams like anyone else from the Pakistan. And I was very surprised. In my second interview, they asked, well, how many research projects you have done? How many publications do you have? And I was surprised that, does this matter? I can do a laparoscopic cholecystectomy. I can do an appendicectomy. I can independently do scopes, therapeutic and diagnostic. So I was taken aback, and I didn't have any answer for that. And then I looked into it. And unfortunately, at that time, we didn't have any platform like IPPA who can actually organize this. So I have to do it all on my own and work hard. So I'm very thankful to IPPA that they are organizing this for the help of all the medical professionals from Pakistan, because that is the area which we don't do in our curriculum in Pakistan. We just do we just read, we just learn how to operate and look after the patients, but this is an area which we are lacking. So I'll start my presentation with the with a famous quote from Leonardo DiCaprio: "Don't judge me by my wins, judge me by my losses, as I have so few of them." And this was the quote he was using when he was cheating one of his clients. So there is no easy way that it's not going to be easy sailing for you. I have to be honest from the beginning. So don't take it that, oh, I'm the only one who's not getting the research projects over the line. There will be a lot of researchers who will have this problem. We think that we'll find a project, we'll start it, and it will go the easy sailing, and at the end we will have publications. There will be a lot of problems, there will be issues with this, and there are a lot of efforts which people actually put in order to get the things through. But you see a person in your department who's doing a publication and you don't have it, and you think that he has it very easy. There are a lot of fine thing which goes into it, and it's not a rocket science. It's not a lot of thing which you have to do. There are few basic things which you get it over the line, you will be fine. So if you see here, I have 55 publications. Out of them, the 43 are research published articles, 7 are conference papers. But what people don't see is that I have a huge number of, if you see on the right side of your slide, the case report from Mr. Aguirre's new method of preventing seroma, Mr. Larkin projects, some not interesting projects in there, Professor Conlon's few projects which are not over the line. I'm doing a new one with Professor McCormick. There are 1 or 2 with Professor Neri, which I could not finish. So there are a huge number of things which are either in process or I could not get over the line. Okay, so never get discouraged by this, that, oh, this is a project which I never finished. You have to start a lot, and then there are a few which will go over the line. And we always think about that light bulb kind of idea. Oh, I want that kind of research which will revolutionize the world. No, it's not going to happen on the first day. The first day you start learning the methodology of research. It will slowly start with a small project. You will have few case reports published. You have few case series published. Then you will go to systematic reviews. Then there will be some prospective studies. So it comes with time. And then one day what will happen is that you will have a research which will change the world. My friend who's in States at the moment, Yasir Qureshi, he started research like from a very basic topics. And now he was he was invited by a Royal College of Physicians of England to give a talk on dementia, because they have worked a lot of research on over there. So it will come with time that you will reach there, but start small, get your publication over the line, and then you will notice that which topics are important and which topics are not important and which will cut. So I'm going to highlight you how you will start and how you will differentiate that whether this project will get over the line, because as you can see that I have a lot of unfinished projects. So now I pick my battles very carefully where I want to invest my time. So first thing is always make a good team for the research, because team building has a great potential in making big changes in the research. It will avoid you to get exhausted. You will not be stressed too much because you don't have to do everything. And then there are chances of having discussions together. And when you discuss things and you're lacking or you're procrastinating things, the discussion actually motivates you to go further. You are stuck at a topic at a step in the research, and then you will discuss in a meeting or just having a friendly discussion about your research. That will actually push you, okay, and next time in a month's time we are going to have a discussion again, so I have to put my time into it and get it over the line. And then no one is a master of all trades, so we always have our strengths and our weaknesses. So the area which I feel that I'm very strong in, I can put my all the effort into that, and my friend or my colleague who's working as a team member can also help me in the areas which are weak for me. And when 5 people are trying to do a research and they are working in a group, and they all have their own topic or their own project going on, at the end of a 6 months time, when you will publish all of they have their own publications, and because you have helped each other out, so rather than one publication for each person, you will have 5 publications for the whole group. So it collectively helps you as well. But the main thing to remember in this is, you are in Ireland, you're not in Pakistan. In Pakistan, we have this culture, please put my name into the research. Nobody is going to do it here. If you haven't put your effort into the research, nobody is going to put your name into the research because you are their senior or you are their you are very nice to them, you are very polite to them. In Pakistan, the seniors always tell you, oh, yeah, you're doing a research project, please put my name in there. No, nobody is going to do that in Ireland if you haven't put effort into that. Even your interns, they will not even do that. So don't even think that without putting an effort, somebody will entertain this kind of a request. So now, the first thing which I will like to highlight is that people always confuse audit with the research. So here I have highlighted what is research and what is an audit, so that you understand and you put an effort. There's no problem in doing an audit, and there's no problem if you want to do an research, but you should understand what I'm answering or what I'm doing is either an audit or a research, so that there is a good outcome at the end. So the purpose of the audits and the research are completely different. Audits basically check your quality and your appropriateness of your medical care or any other facility against the standards which are out there. Research actually is to generate new knowledge, expand the existing knowledge, and address a specific question. The focus of the audits are basically on the service providing, the performance of the healthcare, how we are doing, either we are reaching the standards or not. While the research is basically to check the effectiveness, to find the etiologies, understanding the disease, and whether there's any relations of the thing. So this is the focus of the research. Methodology of the audit, they are one standard methodology. You collect the data, you compare it with the standard, and then you compare that how you're doing in there. And the research, we have huge number of different kind of research. We have qualitative research, we have quantitative research, we have surveys, we have systematic reviews. So there's a huge type of different methodologies out there. The outcome in audit, you see that whether you're compliant or you're not compliant. That's the 2 outcomes. Okay, so if you are not compliant, it also gives you an idea of what to suggest and what are the recommendations to make the improvement. While in the research, it's not black and white. many times you try to find out that whether there's a relation of this risk factors with the outcome which I'm looking, but it does not come out as that. But still, negative result is a result. At the end, you can say that, okay, I thought that there was a relation between this out and this disease and the smoking, but at the end I found out there is no relationship between them. Okay, so it's not always black and white as in an audit. And the stakeholders for the audit are basically healthcare providers, regulatory bodies, and quality improvement teams. While for research, it's a scientific community, students, doctors, patients, everyone is basically involved in that. For starting a research, you always have to ask yourself few questions. That what research I am doing, there's a finer mnemonic which I always use for this, that you have a research which is feasible. I want to start a project and I am planning to put my 6 months into this project. Whether this is feasible, because if I'm planning to do a randomized controlled trial on a procedure which is a new, completely niche project, which is not done that often in my hospital, and we do around one procedure every 2nd month or every 3rd month, and my stay in this hospital is for a year. So I'm expecting to see 4 or 5 of these projects, but by the study design, I need 20 or 50 patients. So that's not feasible for me to start this project. You always have to think that, okay, I'm starting a project. It has to be finished in the time frame which I'm putting out there so that I can finish and move on to the next one. So this one is not feasible. If you are doing a project on a pilonidal sinus or a hernia, and you do 2 or 3 cases every list, and you need only 30 patients of that, so it's very easily doable project for a randomized control trial for this. Second thing is it interesting? That's very important from the point of view of publication. So once you do a project, it has to be interesting project. It has to be it has to be interesting enough that patients or the publications will be interested in publishing it as well. Okay. Next is it a new technique? Is it a new thing which people are doing? And finally, ethics is a very important part. Whenever you are doing an ethical approval, any research, ethical approval will be the biggest hurdle you will see in your research. There are few research ways or methodologies which can get around it, and I will tell you about it later on. That will actually help you if you're worried about having the ethics approval. We can go around a different methodology. And then whether this is relevant to the current scenario, you are planning to do a research on a very high tech or very nice style of operating, but that is thing in the past. Now it's not recommended. There's a newer technique out there, so now it's not relevant anymore, although it was very relevant at the time. Now it's not. So you have to think about that as well. So here I have shown you the hierarchy of the research, how the people rate the research for the different techniques. So we'll go from the bottom up. So the expert opinions, they are the lowest level of evidence. So people can be very highly proficient in their department, and they are very well respected, but when they write anything without any evidence behind it, it is called expert opinion, and it is the lowest level of evidence. So the scientific community, they don't want to talk to anyone without having evidence behind it. So the next is the case report or the case series. Whenever you see any interesting thing, you want to discuss about that, and you write about it as a case report. It's the second step above the expert opinion, but you have to think of it as it's the starting of many important things. All the research in the world has always started from a case series or a case report, because people start noticing things and they start writing about it, and then later on it become a bigger research topic. Cohort studies, it can be prospective cohort studies or retrospective cohort studies. They basically depends on your data collected, and you are not doing any intervention in there. The next is the randomized control trials. This is the highest level of your evidence out there. You are you're randomizing patients into two different groups. You are putting differentiating into that. You are putting some intervention or giving them some kind of a different treatment, and then you are finding the results. The randomization kind of take the bias away from the research. And the last and the highest is the systematic review and the meta-analysis of the research, or randomized controlled trials. You can also do the systematic review and the meta-analysis of observational studies as well, but that will not be as high ranked in the level of evidence as systematic review of randomized controlled trials. So you are looking at the pool data of all the randomized controlled trials out there. So how to get these topics? The big thing is, how do I get it? So talk to your consultants. If you are operating on a very interesting topic, interesting patient, and you haven't seen many of these cases, and you talk to your consultant to think that it is a case report, or do you think it's a very rare topic, rare thing to happen? So many of time they will tell you that, oh yeah, no, you are seeing it for the first time, but there are a lot of patients out there of these kind of sort. Or they will say, yeah, I haven't even seen that many of these cases. So you can see that we have, I published a paper called First Irish and 10th Case of Bowel Obstruction Secondary to Suprapubic Catheterization in the World. So that was during an operation that I saw that patient has a bowel obstruction, and it was because a suprapubic catheter inserted into the bladder, but it went through the peritoneum and caused a bowel obstruction. There were a lot of, you can say, there were a lot of papers out there of bowel injuries, but there was not many of bowel obstruction. So you always have to see that what you are looking at. Many times because people think that, oh, hernia has been so much published kind of stuff that I cannot write anything on the hernia now, because it will not be novel. But you will be surprised, there is a full journal called Hernia, and they write only about hernia. So how they get all the papers and why they are publishing it? Because people get a different angle on the research. So if you are doing a research on the same topic as anyone else, but you have a different angle of looking at it, its risk factors, its benefit, a new technique which has newer, less impact on the quality of life. So if you change the angle, you can get it over the line and get it published. Many times when you talk to your consultant, and as I mentioned that when I was publishing these kind of papers like First Irish and 10th case of the small bowel obstruction, after discussion, one of my consultant, he went down and got a project which was hidden in his drawer. It was about a procedure clinic, and that the data was collected, a lot of work was done on that, but the researcher, he left the country because he started working somewhere else, and he abandoned that project. So when you talk to the consultants, they always find these projects which are half done projects, so you don't have to start it from the scratch. A lot of the groundwork has already been done, and I just have to contact that researcher, and I assured him that I'll put his name in the research when I get it published, and he sent me the data. So that's how many times you can also, when you start talking to your consultant about different projects, they will find these projects which are hanging around, which are half done, and the researcher might have left or he lost the interest, and they're there for you to take. But the main thing is that you get it over the line. If you don't get it, your consultant is not going to get you another one, because he knows that you are very enthusiastic in taking this project, but you don't finish them. So when I find a project, so how to write it? The main problem I was always facing is that I have a project, I have done all the I have done all the tests, and I have the results with me. How to write it? So then I found out that there are a lot of formats, protocols, and checklists which can actually give you the framework how to write it. So if I don't know how to write it, I will just write few things, maybe the introduction, methods, things like that. But if I have a framework, I have boxes to fill, it's much easier to write in these things. So if you're doing a systematic review and meta-analysis, you have what is called as PRISMA protocol. You look at the PRISMA protocol checklist, keep it in front of you, and you have done your research, you start writing it in a very easy way. So it tells you what to write. So whatever your project has found out, you just write it over there. So it's very easy to write a full paper from that. STROBE protocol, that is for your prospective and prospective studies, and CONSORT, which is basically for your randomized control trial. So at the end of your randomized control trial, you will have a very high quality randomized control trial if you follow these CONSORT protocols, and it tells you what to write. So it becomes easy for you to finish the project and write it up as well, because we can collect the data, we can analyze it, and now I don't know how to write it. So that will be a big problem. Next thing is, not all eggs in one basket. I learned from it from a hard way. I have deducted the names and things of this paper. This was the project which we started, was a very nice project. It went on to be published in one of the as a supplement, because it was presented as a presentation in Sylvester Hall run. And at that time, I think they had Irish Medical Journal Sciences, which used to publish their all the presentation over there. So in the meantime, the researcher left the hospital. She took all the data with her, and I even with phone calls and messages, she stopped responding to them. So my project was hanging there, and I lost the project. So I learned that at that stage, that now we are very fortunate that we have these apps like Google Share apps, where you can share the data. It's not that you don't believe other people, but it's always that if you have 3 or 4 people, they can update the data, they can work together, and at the end, if somebody loses their interest or they leave, you at least have the data with you. Okay, so don't lose your data. Data is the most important thing in these research projects. How to design a question for the research. This is PICO's model is the model which is basically for your systematic reviews and meta-analysis. But I use it for all my research because it gives you a framework that how question to be asked. That is the starting point of any research. That when I'm planning to start a research project, what question I'm asking, because as you start, as I in the first slide you saw where I differentiated between audit and research, that there is a question in the research or a gap in the research which you're trying to fill. So the question is, what kind of a patient population I'm trying to use? What kind of a disease I'm trying to use? What is the intervention in question? What kind of intervention, diagnostic test, anything I'm trying to check? What I'm comparing it with, and what are the outcomes or the results I'm looking at. Okay, so PICO model is the main which you are seeing, and the study design is just added now, that what kind of a study design you are looking at. Looking at your PICO model, you can decide what kind of a study design you want. So if you are asking for an intervention, you can have a randomized control trial. But if you are you're talking about an intervention which is basically done, or you already have these patients in the past, so you can have a retrospective style. So if you are going to go forward, it could be prospective or it could be a randomized control trial. So you can dictate what kind of a study design based on your data. Data collection is a big problem. I have, during my course of my all the researches, I have found out that this is the most tiring thing in the world. So if you are in a hospital which has the luxury of having electronic data, you are blessed. People who are in St. James's or the other hospital, I'm not sure which has electronic patient records, you can do these researches, especially the retrospective researches, in a blink of an eye. The main time you will spend is on your data collection. So if you are lucky enough to be working in this hospital with all the data is electronically collected, you have the luxury of getting the research done quick. So use that in your favor. So I have done a question. I know the question which I have to start on a research on. I have discussed it with my consultants, but I also need to do a scoping search for that. That what is out there? What gap I'm trying to fill? Is there already a lot of research out there? Then I have to change my study design. Because if you are trying to do a research and there are 3,000 papers already published on that thing, so you don't need to do a new research on that. You need to do a systematic review and meta-analysis of the literature which is, and then you find out that there are only 3 papers out there, and then after that you might not be able to do a full systematic review, because one or two might not enter your eligibility criteria. So you don't need a systematic review, you need a new research out there. So these are the things you have to decide based on your scoping search. You can use a Google Scholar, very basic search, or on your right side you can see that the new research I designed with the help of one of my leading librarian, who was medical librarian and is involved in a lot of research. So it can be anything, but the way I will say that you start is this. This is Ovid Medline. All of our hospitals in Ireland, we have access to that. So when you have this platform of the Ovid Medline open in front of you, you will see that you have this search bar at the bottom with a search button here. Before doing anything, just press this search history button and open the searches you have done. This will give you an idea of what you have already done, and you can make booleans, and you will find out that in the research that there are few things called mesh terms and m terms, m trees. So these are the things which you will learn over a period of time, but I will go slowly so that you understand this part carefully. So I have decided that I want to do a research on a topic. I have this open in front of me. I will write down so you can see that researches I have done. I have done a research on hemorrhoids, bleeding per rectum, piles, Milligan-Morgan hemorrhoidectomy, conventional hemorrhoidectomy, and ligashore hemorrhoidectomy. I wanted to get a knowledge on comparison of the Milligan-Morgan or conventional hemorrhoidectomy with ligashore, but I want to make sure that I have all the relevant papers. If I just put hemorrhoids and treatment, I could have 2,716 paper in front of me. Now I am stuck. I can't read 2,716 papers. If I am reading about the piles papers, 3,200, no, not going to happen. Milligan-Morgan operations 115, conventional 77, and ligashore 40. So because I'm looking at the comparison between the two, Milligan-Morgan and ligashore, so this again at the end, the best I can get is 40 here, which will be a big task to read. So what I do to get to the most relevant search out there, I mix them. So first, if you see that search number 7, it adds your number 1, 2, and 3. So search number 7 is basically addition of your hemorrhoids, bleeding per rectum, and piles. So it has added all the papers on hemorrhoids. Whatever language was used, it is in there. Okay, 5,859 papers. Next is number 8 is searches 4 and 5, which is basically your Milligan-Morgan and conventional. So they added both of these two because they are the different names for the same thing. And the last one search is basically where I have. So when you see 7 and 8 and you compare it with 9, you will see that the first 7 and 8 are joined by or. By or, I means it will include 1, 2, and 3. So all 3. But when you see number 9, it has 6, 7, and 8, and there is an and between them. So now I'm looking at the papers which have 6 in it, and 7 in it, and 8 in it. It means any paper which has one of them missing will not be included in that. By or, it means any one of them is included. It is part of the pool. When I put an and in it, it means it will be only including the papers which have all 3 entities in it. And now you can see the number down to 10. So I have 6, 7, and 10. So 8. So 6 is your ligashore hemorrhoidectomy. 7, which I bunched up from 1, 2, and 3. And your 8 is basically your 4 and 5 combined together. So now I have found out the most relevant search papers which I need for my research. So this is basically how to do the search, how to design a question, and then as I just spoke to you about systematic, so the ethics approval. Many hospitals, they have their ethics committees. St. James's and Tala have a combined ethics committee, which is overlooked by Trinity. So this committee has a backlog of about 3 months. So if you put your ethics approval out there, it's a 33-page form which you have to fill for ethics approval for any research. It will go to them, they will analyze it, and they will see that whether your research is ethical or not. If you're lucky enough that you get into the first one, that's fine. Otherwise, what will happen is that they will say, make these amendments and send it back. So once you send it back, it will be another wait of another 3 months. So at the end, 6 months are gone from the time of your ethics approval. The way around is the systematic reviews. So what you do is that systematic review is a research on the research. So whatever research is out there, you just collect it and analyze it, and you just get the answer out of it. So your research is basically based on the pooled data out there of the research. So you don't need any ethics approval for that. And the second thing which you can get without ethics is basically if you are analyzing completely anonymized data. That is basically your audit, which looks like an audit and becomes a research. That also have to go to ethics, but usually it does not require a full ethical committee approval. Chair's approval is enough for these. Initially, after the GDPR, the ethics teams were very strict on them, and they were not giving chair's approval. But afterwards, they found out that it is anonymized data, and they are much more lenient at this stage. So I will say that if you're worried about ethics and you still want to do the research, this is your way forward. But the start point of most of the research is basically case reports, case series. That will give you a good overview that how to write a paper, how to do the research, how to do the referencing. So these kind of things. Next thing, we are going to talk about the softwares you need. There are a lot of softwares out there for helping you in your research. Most of them are free, so don't worry about them. Okay. The Cochrane RevMan, it is a software which is provided by Cochrane, and it is free of cost. Covidence, it gives you first systematic review free. Afterwards, it is paid. So I have never paid for it. What I do is that I make a new email address and I enroll it with it. So it's a free software for you to use. EndNote and SPSS, most of the hospitals, they provide it to their doctors. So if you go to your library, they will be able to provide you that. SPSS is basically systematic, is a basic analysis and stats software. So if you are good with stats, it's easy enough. You can do a course in C Star in UCD, which actually helps you to start up with the SPSS, do the basic statistics and things like that. It has 3-day course, so you can take day 1 first, and then you can take the day 2 once you are good with the one, and then you can do the day 3. You don't have to do all 3 in one go, because I did that, and the third day, first and second day, I was tuned with them. I know what they're talking about, and I was taking notes and everything. Third day, I was, oh wow, what they're talking about, regression analysis, all these things. So I didn't know about that. So you need to know that what kind of statistics I'm good at, and you can step it up with their courses. The last thing, EndNote. I can never overemphasize the need for EndNote. For the first research I did the referencing with my hand, with the typing. I did my whole paper, went back to the consultant. He made this is a very nice paper out there, can you reference it here? Oh my god, the effort it took in order to get that wrong reference, because I have to change the number of all the references, change it at the end. It was a big hassle. With EndNote, it takes a click and everything is done for you. Okay, so don't be shy asking your librarian if there is an EndNote out there available for you. Last question, where to publish? There are a lot of papers out there. There is you need to have a will, and your paper will be published. It's always good to have in mind what paper you are targeting, because you know that I'm doing a surgery paper. So which papers are basically for hernia, which papers are basically general surgery. So you need to have a target what I'm aiming for, and always aim high first. You go there, send your paper. They will, even if they are criticizing it and they are not expecting it, accepting it, they will give you the points that why we are not accepting it. You can fix it. Either if they say that we want major changes in this, and these are the changes, you can make these changes and send it back. If they say we are not accepting it, but these are the grounds why we are not accepting it, if you can fix that, and you can send it to the next paper, next journal, and they will publish a paper. There are a few papers which are open access, and the normal access papers. Open access, the author is paying the price. In the beginning, I have two case reports which I got published were open access. Most of the papers have stopped publishing the case report now, and they are open access journals only who are doing the case reports. They charge me $700 each for those case reports, but that gave me a kickstart and knowledge required for these papers. It does not mean that they are poor quality paper because they're charging you. No, they are not. They have their own peer review model as well. They check your papers that they are eligible for publication, but make sure that your journal you're applying for is charted in the PubMed. So if you search their papers, they are coming in PubMed. If they're not, there are a lot of sketchy kind of journals out there who will just take your money, publish the paper, and nobody will be able to find your paper. So don't go for those. Paid work history, there are all their benefits of paid papers and free papers. Paid, because it's open access, there's a lot of people who will just read your paper, they will publish your paper, you will get a lot of you can say citations of your paper, but at the end you are paying it. If you're doing a lot of it, it's not worth it. Go for free papers, but this means you have to have a higher quality paper to get published. Then you have easier publication for the open access, slightly, not a huge lot, but there is slight tendency of letting it go if it is an open access paper because you are paying for it, while there is a very strict scrutiny for the papers who are published in free paper journals. So, but it's always worth it to try free papers first so that you don't have to pay anything for it. But with the TSS, actually, you can also claim these papers if they get published. So don't worry about it. There are ways around it. And when we started, we didn't have all these luxuries. We have to pay it from our own pocket. So, but still, if I have to go back and tell myself, should I go for free papers? I will say no, start wherever you can get published and then build up your portfolio from here. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Yasir. That was an excellent talk. Lots of data, lots of things to be known. And as for starters, I think it is excellent and should definitely be important. Again, we said we take live questions. If anyone's interested, I'd say raise a hand or prompt, and we'll go to you. If there's any particular slide that you would like Yasir to go over, we can try that as well. But excellent session. So Yasir, thank you for taking your time to doing this.
Thank you, Yasir. No, brilliant session. There was a question earlier, Yasir, that if someone wants to kickstart their research journey, would being a part of the data collection team be a good starting point?
Definitely. Most of the researchers, they hate that data collecting. And nobody likes it. It's a painstaking thing. As I told you that we are lucky in James is that we have a electronic patient record, but most of the hospitals in Ireland, they're still doing the data collection from the charts. And I still remember when I was a SHO and I was doing my first research, I used to go on my own call at night time to this big filing area because nurses, the secretary, they were not happy to bring all those charts to me because they might be used in the clinic or something like that. So I have to go these collecting charts areas and sit down there and do the handwritten because I had already designed a performa which I was filling for all these patients. So there are few things which can get you an authorship. One of them, if you are involved in the designing of the paper, if you are in data collection, if you are analyzing the data, or if you have modified the paper at hugely at the end. So these are the few things which actually get you publication authorship.
So,
There are,
so
so
even if you are a
this
part
is
of the data collection team, you'll still be one of the authors, lower down,
you
fifth, sixth, seventh author, but you can
yes.
still claim authorship to the paper.
Definitely. And the thing is that when you do a data collection and you're not part of the writing or analyzing, usually you are a little bit lower down the authorship. But it's always a good start to start as a, but be part of the analyzing and writing up as well, because if you are more involved, you even if you have done not much, you will be stepped up in the authorship ladder.
But
Oh,
I think it's a big learning curve as well when you're a part of analyzing the data. All those terms that you mentioned, regression and interquartile ranges, and all these things that, as a research novice person, you have no clue. But when you're a part of that team, it is a self-learning exercise as well, isn't it?
Definitely, as I told you that it's a part of the curriculum here for the medical students. They do a systematic review as part of their medical degree. Uh, Either it's published in the local journal or in the college journal, but it is a systematic review we don't do any thing of that sort. So it is, and I will again thank you. You guys are doing a wonderful job for guiding. I had no guidance of that sort when I started here, and I have to go to different seminars, to different lectures, and to be honest, they all talk about the research as it's nothing, it's easy for them, but we have to learn it from the very basics, and nobody was organizing these kind of lectures.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're so right.
There's just a question on the group. Someone, Hafiz Ahmed Raza, I think he wants to ask a question, Raza, Yasir.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Yasir. It was a wonderful talk, and I learned a lot from this. I have a very specific question. Like I'm nowadays, I'm thinking to kickstart a paper with regarding the pediatric population. Like I want to study. We have plenty of emergency patient, and we are like admitting very few of them and just discharging rest of them. Like I just want to do how many patients, what percentage of patients revisited the emergency within 7 days, and which percentage of them was admitted later on? So will it be an audit or it can be a research paper?
You can start it as an audit, but
Yeah.
then when you go into the fine details, that what kind of a diseases they are coming back with, which patient population is coming with abdominal pain or these things, when you go into finer details, it can become a research paper. So you just have to start with an audit if you're doing a generalized kind of a thing. So how many came back from them and we admitted? That's a simple question, and that's an audit. And if you are taking it to the next step, that we discharged 100 patients, out of them 50 were abdominal pain, and when in the 50 abdominal pain patients, how many came back and needed an admission and a surgery? So that's becomes a research that these patients who are coming with abdominal pain with these kind of features have more chance of having a this kind of a disease. So then you can turn it into a research later on.
Ahmed, I'm just going to jump in there. What hospital are you working in? And are you working in an emergency department? Are you working in Ireland? Hafiz Ahmed, are you working in Ireland?
Yeah, I'm working in Ireland. I'm working in Potionkula.
Okay, so most emergency departments would very critically analyze their representations. So it might be worth having a look at it, that is it being done already? Because I'm an emergency physician, and pretty much all the emergency departments where I've worked at would analyze all the representations, because it is a red flag that did we miss something at the first presentation? Why would the patient present, particularly if they're coming within 7 days' time? Those patients are flagged on to the consultants, and the consultants go through their charts to see, are they coming with a new diagnosis or was something missed at the first part? So it might be worth having a chat with one of your consultants there to see, does an infrastructure exist already, rather than reinventing the wheel.
Okay. Dr. Muswa, as you know, Potionkula is not that big hospital, so we don't have a separate pediatric emergency over here. And being a pediatric ward, we look into the emergency and then we decide to admit or to discharge. So I haven't heard about it, but I'll talk to my consultant
Just
doctor.
asking your
Like
consultant.
Dr. Islam is part of IPPA and he's our consultant here as well. So I'll talk to him.
So talk to one of the consultants. Maybe there is a structure there already, because all emergency departments, particularly in pediatric presentations, representations are a big red flag, and we would keep an eye on those patients coming back to the emergency department.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Mustafa.
Yasir, there's a question from Ismail. Basically, he wants the steps to research 1, 2, and 3, but also downline, he said, if you're in a hospital environment that doesn't really do research, should you start it on your own, or should you, how to go about it? I think that's an issue in lots of places. We don't know who to approach or who's starting research or where to build a team with. If you're new at research, my advice would always be to start with whatever you can get your hands on, data
Whatever you
collection,
can get your
case
hands on,
report, and
definitely.
then go from there. But if you have anything particular for Dr. Ismail, and then I'll go to the next question.
Yeah, so the thing is that you should have started yesterday. So there's no such thing as wait for the best environment, best people around you. You started, people will join you. So you started, and once you are doing something, research or something, and you're doing something on the laptop, and someone will glance on your shoulder. Oh, you are doing that. Oh, I'm also interested. Okay, come on, let's do it together. So you will build the team. Don't be the one who will wait for the team to be built for you. Nobody's going to do that, especially in the smaller hospitals. There is no such thing. And even in the bigger hospital, I'm working in James's at the moment. The people who are doing research, they're not calling people around. Oh, I'm doing a research. Can anyone want to join it? No, you have to take the initiative. People will join. Okay, so don't think that there will be a team built for you. I was lucky enough in Thala that there was a research team built by the Professor Coleman, who's very well published consultant. He had this meeting, monthly meeting, where all the PhD students and all the MDs who are under him used to come, and they give an update on their research. But not many hospitals are like that. So you just start whatever you can get with, and you will reach there.
And Dr. Ismail has asked another question, is when to go to the ethic committee. I would say as soon as possible. As soon as you have a research question and basic data, go to the ethic committee. It generally does take time, unfortunately. No matter which hospital you work in, I don't think there's a straightforward solution to that. One of the other questions was in the SPSS courses, if there's any particular link. I think someone's referenced that there's C-STAR and UCD, and they learn
Yes.
statistics. I will be
Yeah, I
honest.
will say that start with the day one. Do the day one only. There are 3 days. So first day is the basic day, second is intermediate, and the third day is highly qualified statistics and stuff like that. So first, start with the first day. If you get well with that, they do it repeatedly. You can go, if in 3 months time there will be a second course, and you can only opt for the day two. Don't take the day one on that day. So and many times I have done a lot of research, and I have done a lot of statistics work in the past. But whenever I go back and start doing a new paper, I always have to refresh myself, because this is not a thing which I do routinely. You will see that many surgeons, when they do a operation which they don't do routinely, they go back to the book or do the read before operating the patient. It's like that all the time. If you are doing it routinely, that's fine. But if you're not doing it routinely, you might have to still go back and look at the notes which the C-STAR provides. Start with the day one. If you're happy with that, in the next 3 months time, there will be a new course. You can take this day two, and maybe in 3 or 6 months time, you can take the day three. Don't take all of them in 3 in one go, because you will come out and you will say, oh, I didn't get anything. I was just sitting there and I didn't understand what they were talking about.
I will also be very honest. In the research I've done, when it comes to the stats, lots of times I went to YouTube. YouTubes will have answers. I mean, there's few videos there. Keep looking at them. You will figure something out. And then talking to your seniors. C-STAR courses are very helpful. Like Yasir says, there's 3 days. Honestly, I only understood day one and day two. Day three was a bit far-fetched for me. But yeah, there's definitely those you can do.
Just to add on to that, you know, about statistics, start with reading a paper first before jumping on to writing a research paper or doing a research. Read a research paper on what you want to do your research on. Look at what statistics have they used. Google those statistics, learn about them. That, oh, right, so this is what logistic regression means, and that is why this researchers use logistic regression, right? So I might use logistic regression in my research model. This is how what is an interquartile range, or this is how why he has used number needed to treat, or not some other parameter. Right now, I understand. So start from reading a research paper. What a lot of us do is we straight jump into trying to do a research study having never read or critically appraise the research article. It is so important that you start your research journey before starting a research paper, writing or doing a research. Read an article, go through those difficult statistical things, the first and second and third paragraphs before results, before everything. Why have they used it? Why are they using particular statistics? And that is how I've learned all the statistics that I know, and I don't know a huge lot. But when I read a paper, I just go through, and more often I just go to Google and look at what particular research thing means, and what is the idea behind it.
Yeah, and the journal clubs are a,
Yes,
a
absolutely. Journal clubs.
excellent opportunity. Volunteer for these journal clubs. Say that because I know that as Pakistani, whenever the journal club days come, we'd start having this gas feeling in under the rib cage. Oh my God, I have to present this thing. Don't get worried about or afraid about it. You make your presentation, again, use Google, YouTube, read about the paper, how to critique a paper, how to learn out all the statistics, go through there and all the statistics or all the technical things they have done, and then present it. Even if you are making a mistake, your consultants are going to critique it and say, oh, this is the thing which needs more focus or something like that. You will learn something out of it. Don't ever feel that, oh, I will be insulted. No, there is no such thing as getting insulted. When you are learning, there is no such thing as insult. And one of my friend, he said a very good thing. He said that there is no such question as a stupid question. Once you are learning, you ask whatever is bothering you. Okay, if you are presenting there and somebody said a thing about your paper and you don't know about, don't take it just oh, consultant is saying so I should be quiet about it. No, ask what does this mean. He will explain it to you, and next time you don't have to ask anyone, or you don't have to keep it to yourself. So just journal clubs are an excellent opportunity for that.
There's another question on the group about statistical analysis. Should it be done by a separate statistician or by yourself? To be honest, you can pay for a statistician, but generally they're expensive. I would always, most of our papers don't require very complex stats. So you can, most times you can manage it yourself. Question from Atka, is there any disease registries mentioned by acute hospitals that trainees and researchers can access with special interest in disorders and disease? I believe some hospitals keep databases, not all of them. And generally, it'll be individual to individual department. Like infectious diseases will have their own registry.
Yes.
In vascular, we have our own registry that we keep ourselves. But
So
I think
large acute hospitals would have disease registries. For example, in James's, infectious diseases have got extensive research background for HIV and all ID stuff. I'm sure Yasir can expand on the surgical registries, colorectal cancer registries that have been maintained by James's as well. And then again, I can speak for James's because I've worked there. The James is the house for the TILDA data set, which is the largest data set on people with special interest in geriatrics. So yes, acute hospitals do maintain, not for every particular disease, but yes, large, broad categories. They do maintain disease registries to which people who have special interest, they can contact the research leads in those departments and certainly get access to it.
Yeah. Tala also had this diamond registry for the diabetes patients. So all these big hospitals, they have some sort of registry, but you talk to your consultant about it and they will guide you about it. Not everyone has the access to that. So you need a special permission from your consultants to talk to these people in IT, and they will get you all the data you need.
There's a very specific question from Mohammed Rukman Gul, but I do think this is an important question. Before starting a systematic review, which strategy is better, reading the full paper, how many papers should be included, the conclusion or of the research papers, or enough read to collect data? Unfortunately, I think you have to read the whole paper, know what you want to talk, get your question very specific, and then go into your searches. The more you read, the easier this becomes. You just have to start at some point. Whatever is easy for you, start with that. Yes, or anything?
Designing a question is very important for these things, because a lot of the time you start a paper which has already been answered. So scoping search is very important, that I'm trying to do a systematic review. Is it out there? Because I will give an example. I started a systematic review on Nissen versus Toping. And I was trying to find out whether there's an effective, which procedure is more effective. And I found out that there's a systematic review published only a year ago. So my systematic review is of no value, because there is already there's a systematic review out there. So your research has to be different. During the course of all these scoping, I found out that there are a lot of papers on effectiveness of Nissen fundoplication in obese population, whether they are obese patients have high recurrence rates or less recurrence rates, or they have the same recurrence rates as a normal population. So when I found out that there is no systematic review done on that, so I started shaping my questions towards effectiveness of Nissen fundoplication in obese population. So you might have to change your question in the between, all with your system, with your scoping searches. So be flexible, start this journey, read few papers, do the scoping searches, whether my research at the end will be novel, or I will be doing adding something to the literature out there. So that's question designing is the main key in these scenarios.
Thank you, Yasir, very much for this. There's just one more question and then we'll head to an end. Muzammil asked, can I ask if we came up with a small platform where we can mentor and various backgrounds like medicine or surgery, and NCHDs interested can be connected to each other and monthly meeting, etc. There is talks about all of this. We are trying our level best to do regional so that you can have local meetings, maybe face-to-face over Zoom. There are some practicalities that we need to come over, and the more people that participate, the more people that become members, will slowly and steadily we'll be able to do this a bit better. But at the moment, any questions put up on the IPPA group, IPPA Med group, and someone will answer. Someone will keep going ahead with this.
And Muzammil, that was the idea when initially myself and Yasir had a chat about this research thing. That was basically what Yasir had come up with, the idea to have a monthly research meeting in which we can, or monthly or bi-monthly, so something on those lines, in which NCHDs with special interest in research and mentors with a special interest in research can guide them through and see how can we help them. But again, a little bit of governance, we are still, building up those blocks, because it's very obviously we are all doing it out of our own personal time. There's bank holiday Sunday and bank holiday Saturday. Myself, Yasir, Adil, all of us are here, getting this time out of our personal time. So certainly it will be a really good idea. Definitely doable. We would like to do it, but we would like to get more volunteers from our group to see if we can get them to join us to run this research meeting and to help our NCHDs build up their research portfolio.
Now, I'll take the last question from Dr. Ismail again. Can a journal help you assessing with research proposals? And the journal in which we are going to publish a paper, I'm not aware of any journal that looks at research proposals as such. I think research proposals are done.
Ismail, journals will not help you with your research proposal, but Yasir might agree or disagree with it. What I was told by one of the mentors was to aim for the biggest journal when you're submitting your proposal or your write-up, to get throw it to Lancet, throw it to the likes of Academic Emergency Medicine, or whichever is your biggest journal, and they will reject it, but they will give you a feedback of why they have rejected it. They'll give you pointers on what is important, and that is going to help you shape or improve your write-up for your next journal. So I think, Yasir, you might disagree or agree that there was one of the points that I was told.
No, it's completely, I agree with that. Go for the biggest one. Go for the aim high. The good thing about these journals is that they have a very good reviewing bodies. They send it to them. They not only, it's not like Pakistan, oh no, I don't like it. They will tell you why I don't like it. What is the difference between a good paper and your paper? What changes you need to make? So even if it is rejected, they will tell you what to improve. You can improve it, and now you can go to the second paper and you can get it published. So it's always good to start with a high, because yes, as a human being, we always feel a bit you can say down when our paper is rejected. So it is a part and parcel of that game, but you have to have a thick skin in it. Don't put all your effort into one paper. Start 2 or 3 papers. They will be at different levels. One will be at the right at the level where you're writing it, because some days you feel like writing, some days you don't feel like writing, some days you want to do a bit of analysis, some days you don't. So if you have 2 or 3 papers at different levels, you can keep going with them, and then at the end all of them they get published. Okay, so you just have to be persistent with these things. I started 2 papers. One was at the end of the publication, where I was almost done, and I was sending it to the journal for publication, and my boss said, you explained very nicely in your presentation how did this systematic review. Do you want to write about how to do a systematic review? And I said, yeah, I will do that. I wrote about it, showed it to him, he agreed, we sent it for publication. The first initial systematic review was still under scrutiny, and the second paper, how to write a systematic review, got published. So you never know, the second one you started at a later stage will get published before the first one. So it's always like that. Some papers need a bit more tender love and stuff like that, and changes than the other one. So don't get discouraged that my paper has been criticized and they have sent it back. No, there are always journals out there who will publish you. So don't worry about it.
So I'd like to thank Yasir again very much. Thank you for taking your time out on this bank holiday weekend and the lovely weather.
There's Dr. Khalid Sarwar Khan and Dr. Atika are online as well. We might ask them if they have any word of advice for our participants today. Dr. Khalid, Dr. Atika, are you online there? If you have any.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I think it was excellent webinar, and thanks Yasir, Adil, and Mustafa and other people involved. You're doing an excellent job. I think one thing which I can just say to my juniors, if you look at all juniors, they're all good. We don't expect anybody who is completely non-serious. We're talking about serious people. The only difference in progressing and getting a scheme is number one, you have to get the relevant exams on time. That if you passed, say 2 years ago, you should be doing your at least part 1 of that specialty, preferably part 2 after that. So that's one tick box. Second, then it comes to the research, that how many research you have done, what you have done, what sort of aptitude, and also the research should be focused on your specialty. It should be, initial research is acceptable if you're done in different specialty when you're doing internship, or initially you are not sure what specialty you're taking. Once you go down in your career, you should focus what specialty you are interested, and you should produce some good research on those. That is the difference between a good candidate and a normal candidate. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Atika.
Yeah, can you hear me okay? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so just to keep it very brief, big thank you to Dr. Yasir Bashir. This is a very daunting prospect for a trainee to undertake medical research, clinical research. Excellent talk, demystifying a lot of myths and misunderstandings, and start small and, start with your own small independent study instead of waiting or looking up or looking outwards. Take the initiative. But if you're a trainee who wants to actually do, say, a master's as part of your academic progression, as well as your clinical training, then you can actually do an MSc in clinical research. I did mine in NUI Galway, and it is a very worthy university. You may be able to access it more local to you, wherever you are, and it will then give you formal instruction in your stats and data analysis and so on. So that's my 2 cents. Thanks.
And fees for these universities and these masters can be covered through your TSS as well. A part of the fee anyway. Can be covered.
I agree with Dr. Atta. Myself and Yasir both are doing masters from the RCSI. And again, they can be paid for, and they're well to learn basics and to learn how to do stats as well. Again, if there's any questions, please do not hesitate to ask on the IPPA group. We're always trying to help. It might take us a little while to get back with the answers, but we generally do get back. The future of IPPA, just to end on a light note, IPPA Tech is going to be organizing a CV writing and prep. So if you have any people that are in the tech and want to get involved and want to help, this is good. IPPA Youth is a new inaugural event called Mulakat. This is for the younger generation, as there's lots of Pakistani children here that don't know what to do. These are all to do with the Pakistani youth and how to get together and meet people and put together different things. And in the future, they'll be holding webinars of their own. And also, we're very proud to tell that IPPA Sports will have their inaugural event on the 2nd of July. This is also lighthearted, so something to keep all the Pakistani community together and keep us all engaged. Again, I'd like to thank Mustafa and Yasir for taking time out of their busy days on a nice sunny day. Thank you very much for helping with this talk and helping the juniors.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.